This is the Mighty Space desktop amplifier from my pals at NUX. I love this thing, and I've had it for months. I've been experimenting with it and just playing it like crazy. But I found myself at a crossroads with it because I was wondering, how can I really present this to everybody watching? That's one of the big challenges with this whole YouTube thing. It could be just as simple as throwing up a camera, turning some knobs, strumming the guitar, and playing a few stupid licks and talking a bunch. But I really wanted to do something different to showcase this amplifier in a different light. I was pretty much stumped. But then, during the hottest part of the summer, an opportunity presented itself. I don't know why, because the electrical company doesn't tell you reasons why, but the power went out in my neighborhood not once, but twice in a 48-hour period. That's unprecedented. We've only ever had one major power outage in the decade plus that we've lived here. This was definitely a strange time. It was during that second power outage, that 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. time of day where things are really hot, the sun's high in the sky, and you're just wanting the air conditioning to run, that I realized, wait a second, the Mighty Space has its own built-in rechargeable battery. My camera that I'm filming this with has a rechargeable battery. The lights that are in front of me have rechargeable batteries, and I have a Zoom recorder, which can run off of AA batteries. So maybe the best way to showcase the Mighty Space is to do it with the power entirely out. And I'm pretty floored with what I was able to capture. So let's go back to that footage from the hottest part of the summer and check out what the NUX Mighty Space is capable of. I seriously can't believe I was able to do what I just did for you all, and the power is out. I had a drum track going. I was able to loop and record multiple parts to a song, go between a sort of 80s style clean tone that's very bright with a lot of chorus and reverb and echo, something a bit mildly crunchy for a more feelsy lead, and then a high gain sound that felt like it was straight out of like a 1980s detective movie soundtrack. Let's get into some of what the Mighty Space offers so that we can further explore this idea as long as the batteries will last us. On the top, you actually have your traditional amp panel controls. You have a guitar input, a gain, a volume, a channel select button, bass, middle, treble, presence, and then you have a reverb knob and a master volume knob, and then your on-off switch at the far right. Now, what I'm doing, as opposed to going into the Mighty Space with a cable, is I am using the included NUX TX wireless transmitter. If you press and hold down on the wireless button that's directly above the input jack, it receives the signal from the wireless transmitter. And this is included with the Mighty Space when you get it. Now you might be thinking just with those top panel controls that you're not going to have much flexibility over your effects and whatnot. Well, you'd be wrong, because you can download the Mighty Amp app. Now I downloaded mine onto the iPhone, and this works for several of these types of products that NUX makes. And it's very similar to the Amp Academy software that we looked at earlier this year. You have a bunch of different controls for your amp sounds, different amp models, everything from like a Roland Jazz chorus all the way to like a Friedman Harry Brown Eye, and you can even have some stuff for like an acoustic electric. So in a way, this kind of could serve as a busker amp if you would like it to. But that's not all that you have access to. You can turn on noise gates, there's different styles of compressor that you can add onto it. You can even select between things like chorus, phaser, and flange. I personally like the choruses that are in this quite a bit, and a bunch of different reverbs, and there's even a graphic EQ with a bunch of different pages for all your typical usual suspect EQ points. But that, my friends, is not where it all ends with the adjustability in the Mighty Amp app. You also have access to the drum programming that you heard in that little looper section. There's a lot to choose from, and it turns out that this is probably one of my favorite things. Because most often these days I'm practicing by myself, or I'm playing a lot by myself, I don't always get the luxury of playing with a drummer just in a practicing context. And sometimes having a drum groove rather than a metronome click is a lot more vibey than just listening to that consistent tick, tick, tick. But I think the really cool part of the app, aside from the amp editing, is the inclusion of a jam track section. NUX has uploaded a bunch of proprietary jam tracks for you to practice along with, and some of their artists have even come up with jam tracks and uploaded to the app as well. But one of the things I really love is that you can upload your own custom jam tracks. So if you've bought any from any other jam track creator, or if you've recorded some yourself, you can go ahead and upload them to the app, no problem at all. Now, at the risk of getting too wordy with all this, I think we should play. And I think the best thing to do to start would actually be to play you some of the presets that I've come up with. I'll just play a little bit of each one so you get an idea of what we can do, and then maybe we'll do a little bit more exploring. now's a good time for us to explore the app a little bit further, kind of give you an idea of what the user interface is like and what you're capable of doing with it just from editing your amp sound. Now this is what you see for the first time, and it's a pretty easy to navigate app. You have this row of icons up at the top that cycle through the different blocks, and you can sort of hold on them and drag them in the signal chain. So that's kind of nice. You can put the signal flow however you want it to be. Obviously, the most important thing we need to get to is the amp, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and then turn on the IR portion. Now to get us started, we have the Jazz Clean. And we can use either, just for your edification, we can use either what's on the app, or we can use the controls on the Mighty Space in order to make these amp adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of zero everything out as close as possible here. Going to cycle through to the next one. As you can see, we have a bunch of different fenders. Why don't we go to this Cali Crunch? The Cali Crunch is going to be pretty darn similar to, say, like a Mesa Boogie Mark 1, I think. Or maybe a Mark 2. Cool, I actually kind of like that as it is, so now let's go ahead and move on. With the IR, we're now on the matching, but what's cool is we have a low and a high cut. I'm going to go ahead and smooth out those highs, and we can get pretty close to the midpoint, which is 10K. And that doesn't sound all that different from it full up. That's because guitar cabs tend to roll off around 7, 8K. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll a little bit more off. I like it so far. Let's go ahead and roll the low cut up to about 50, 50-ish. Awesome. Now you can raise or lower the level as you see fit if you want. I'm not so worried about that. Oh, we have the EQ on. Let's turn that off. I like it even better. And you have between a 6-band and a 10-band EQ at your disposal. Now let's go ahead and put some reverb on this. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it after the impulse response. So we're going to treat it like post-production processing as opposed to a reverb built into the amp. Let's go ahead and go to the plate reverb. We have just a very simple 2-control reverb. Let's up the decay a little bit and maybe back down the level. NUX, great job with that. That's some touch sensitivity there. Good on you, NUX. I mean, NUX. Sorry, I've been told to pronounce it correctly, and I will. That was. Maybe it was the wireless transmitter. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down. I don't want the echoes to stick out too much, but maybe I'll add a couple more repeats. I like that. Let's leave that. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add on an effect before the amplifier. So something like a drive. So if I go to that effects column, you can see we have all these different choices that are very familiar pedals. Things like the MXR Distortion Plus, a Tube Screamer, a DS1, the Morning Drive is the JHS Morning Glory. I don't know what the Eat Distortion is. The Red Dirt is a Keeley pedal. And then there's a fuzz. I wish there was more fuzz. Honestly, I wish there was more fuzz. You know what I'm going to go ahead and do? I'm going to go ahead and put on the Distortion Plus in front of that for something that will kind of add a little bit of a unique crunch to what we already have going. I like this. I really like this a lot. So we're going to go ahead and keep it with that. There are compressors we can add. Let's go ahead and throw this Rose comp on, which is essentially just a Ross compressor. And let's see it do its thing. That's kind of nice. I'm going to just lower that down, and I'm going to leave both those on this preset so that we can turn them on and off as we see fit, or stack them as we want. And I'm kind of happy with this. There's modulations we can add. Let me just play you this D tune, which is kind of fun. Let's try the rotary. I kind of like it, but I don't really want any modulation on the sound. I'm kind of liking the vibe that we get off of this one. So we want to save it. All we have to do is click this save icon that's in the top right corner of the screen. I want to save this, but I also don't want to because this is the slot that I have my clean preset on, and I just love that so much. Oh well, my loss. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that little look at what the Mighty Space is capable of. I'm not only impressed with what it can do just running off a battery, but I'm continually impressed by what NUX is putting into their products these days. This amp, the software that's included with it and a lot of the models, is really no different than the stuff that we experienced in the Amp Academy earlier this year, and in many ways is not much different than some of the other NUX pedals that we've looked at in the past, albeit, of course, this is all digital, it's not analog. But at the same time, the sound quality is still there, the feature set is still there, and I didn't even show you everything about it, because if I did, we'd be here a while. However, if you have other questions about the Mighty Space amplifier, use the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer as many questions as possible. Some things that might lend better to doing a separate video on, so if there's something that you really want to see live and in living color, again, just let me know in the comments section and I'll see how I can fit that into my schedule. If you enjoyed this video or learned something from it, I would greatly appreciate it if you have supported my endeavors to make better guitar videos for all players out there. Click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That is the easiest thing that you can do. You can also give it a thumbs up and share a link to it with a friend. But if you go one step above and beyond that, you can become a member of my email club. This allows me the ability to send all my videos direct to your inbox so the YouTube algorithm doesn't get in the way. And I also run exclusive giveaways for members of the email club only. Just go to SeanPierceJohnson.com/email or click the link in the description box and down below. Thank you all so much for spending part of your day and checking out the NUX Mighty Space amplifier with me. I greatly appreciate it. Until we see each other again, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all watching great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends. God bless.